Alrighty, what is quacking, everyone? Today we're here with the Splatter Shot Novas. These weapons are cheeks. I will talk about them, their builds and everything. These weapons, I hate these weapons. My distaste for these weapons is so high, I do not like these weapons. They cost me some Rainmaker points in series, okay? I lost my series because of these weapons, because they suck. Why do they suck? Well, I will tell you why they're garbage, even though I made even though this whole video is me making a build about them and talking about them. I want to discuss them because I think that they have a little niche that could be utilized. Now, with Anaki Splattershot Nova, that weapon is, hey, I want to use Inkjet. That's all I want to use. I don't care about anything else. That weapon is dedicated to Inkjet. Vanilla Splattershot Nova is, hey, I want to provide chip damage for my team and just be super supportive in the weirdest way possible. That is what Splattershot Nova is. They do have their pros and cons. Their cons list is a lot longer than their pros list, as their pros are good paint, long range. That's pretty much it. Other than that, it's kind of utilizing some of these builds to focus on objectives, and that's pretty much it. Their cons are they suck at killing, other weapons do what they want better, and their kits are not the greatest. Did I mention this weapon sucks? Yeah, it does. But anyways, I'm going to get into these builds and just talk about these weapons a little bit and hopefully shed a little positive on these weapons. Kind of, sort of. I don't know. I hate these weapons. So, starting off with the vanilla Splattershot Nova, this is kind of the baseline build that I would be going with for basically just all the game modes for the most part. It's pretty basic. You know, you got your swim speed, you got your run speed, you know, your run speed while shooting is very solid, swim speed is very good. And basically, you're just utilizing this weapon for the Kill Whale 5.1 support and the poke support and the point sensor showing where people are at. So that's pretty much all this weapon is for the most part, is just an awkward pokey support when there are better supportive weapons like, I don't know, an NZAP, stuff like that, you know, using a Tacticooler, you know, something like that would be fantastic over this weapon. So compared to other weapons do what this weapon can do, but better with different kits that are way better. But again, it's all about like your playstyle and stuff. This is a painting menace. I would say he's definitely very good in zones for the most part, painting wise, and trying to keep track of zone and players with point sensor and poking at people. So it does have its utilization for sure. And also it being more supportive, it can use thermal ink. Thermal ink is very solid for this weapon. You can obviously switch around whatever subs you want to sacrifice whatever you want. If you want to sacrifice, you know, run speed you can, swim speed you can, or if you want to sacrifice special charge up you can. The number one thing with this weapon though is utilizing its range for sure. So, you know, if you're utilizing its max range, getting that thermal ink off to reveal enemies' locations, point sensors as well, it's very useful in that aspect to like give your team a lot of information. Again, the thing that this weapon suffers from the most is its main weapon is not that great. So yeah, you can give your teammate all the information that they want, but you can't really capitalize off that information yourself. With like other weapons you can, like with a Nautilus, that thing can kill, and you can capitalize off of your information from a point sensor with a Nautilus. So, you know, comparing it to just that, like, it can give a lot of information, but the primary user can't capitalize off it, and it requires your team. So in a competitive team setting, or if you're playing with your friends in open, weapon can be solid. You can give a lot of information to your friends, but if you're playing in solo queue, chances are you're not going to be able to relay that information because maybe there's someone just not paying attention. Like, you know, if someone was using thermal link in my solo queue games, it's very rarely that I'll notice. For the most part, no one does, but if someone does, sometimes I'll notice it, sometimes I won't. So it's very difficult for solo queue players to utilize, you know, heavy information weapons like this. Another thing about this weapon is it does have a very high jump shot spread, 12 base, and then with some intensify action, some people run intensify action with this weapon, it brings it down to basically 8. Its base while you're grounded is 6 degrees, so there's that as well. But overall, intensify action does work on this weapon. It helps reduce the spread for sure, and kind of needs the spread reduction, and you could use intensify action with thermal ink as well to help capitalize off that, and also, you know, utilizing, you know, some special charge if you wanted for more killer whales, because again, this weapon does pain a lot, so you can be super annoying with specials with this weapon. And one more thing that this weapon can utilize is Object Shredder. Very good. It has solid range, so you could get from the side on a crab, or you can pressure bubbles as well that do pop up. So overall, very solid for bubbles and crabs with Object Shredder. It has a good fire rate, so you can shred things. And obviously, if you're using it for Rainmaker, you can utilize it for Rainmaker as well. The nice thing about this weapon is it can utilize different main abilities very well, like Object Shredder, like Thermal Ink, and I'm going to be talking about another one a little bit later. But overall, it can utilize a lot of abilities. It just suffers from having a weird kit and a bad main weapon. Now, if you like inkjet, if you're an inkjet enthusiast, then this is for you. Right here, this is one of the builds. Right here, run speed, so you can, you know, utilize it to be a little bit more aggressive with this weapon. The swim speed, the drop roller for the fucking inkjet. That my brain died for 10 seconds. The inkjet, the special power up for the inkjet, inkjet duration, inkjet damage up, inkjet paint radius. All of this is just basically, here's inkjet, I want to use inkjet, and this is one of the builds that you can utilize inkjet. Obviously, you can swap things around. If you want, you could probably use some thermal ink on this weapon and use the information for yourself with thermal ink to use it with inkjet. That is an option. So that is one thing that you can utilize. And then again, this is just another alternate inkjet build. If you don't want to be more frontliney and you don't care about your mobility that much, then this is a build for you. If you don't care about mobility, you have special charge, special saver, and special power up with drop roller. Or if you feel like you don't need drop roller because you're playing safe with your inkjet locations, then you can switch it out with, you know, Object Shredder, or, you know, for this one specifically, movement, whatever you feel like you need to fit your playstyle. But overall, this is just, I want inkjet. Give me inkjet. And honestly, this weapon is nicer in a way because of the inkjet buff. The inkjet buff has been nice, so that definitely does help this weapon in the long run. I think, honestly, if this weapon, if they didn't buff inkjet and this weapon had the older inkjet, I think that'd be a huge issue. I think this weapon would absolutely be dead on arrival for sure if inkjet wasn't stronger than it used to be. And for these builds, we got a little bit of balance. We got some mobility, some special power up, and then you can either have a special saver or intensify action. And again, you know, you can swap drop roll out for whatever you want. If you want to add thermal ink to this balance build, you can. It's up to personal preference for sure, but this is just a balanced out type build that you can utilize for this weapon and just kind of have your mobility, have your special power up, and just kind of be an overall balanced menace with this weapon. And, you know, it's pretty good for the most part. But yeah, just again, utilizing what you can with inkjet is kind of the goal here. Now, this is one of the abilities that this weapon can utilize. Respawn Punisher. Why? Because it has the long range and it can still get kills with it and apply the pressure. However, this build I made right here balances it out. The QR balances out, you know, if you die because Respawn Punisher, you still get the negative effects from Respawn Punisher if you're using it. So that's kind of what I have here, is the balanced version of that. However, you can definitely swap this around for whatever you want. If you're using Anaki, you can have Respawn Punisher focused on special power up, special saver, and stuff like that. If you're focusing on vanilla, you can obviously swap that around for, you know, maybe some more mobility. But honestly, like, overall, this is just a balance out of everything. And, you know, it can utilize Respawn Punisher. It can utilize some unique main abilities that we don't get to see that much, or people just don't use that often. So there is that. That is a perk with these weapons. Again, they just suffer from being bad main weapons. The only, like, if this weapon was to gain a buff, it needs to 4-shot instead of 5-shot. That is the one crucial thing with this weapon, is it needs to have stronger base shot damage for it to be a little bit better. But overall, it does paint good, it has good range, and you can apply that long range pressure with this weapon. That's been the Splattershot Novas. Overall, they have some unique qualities, but their unique qualities do not make up for how bad they are. The gameplay that I'm showing in the background right now, I'm trying to get this beacon. Obviously, I get the beacon. Someone jumps in. I did not kill that jump in. I hit my shots. They got to live. Any other weapon in the game would have killed that jump in. However, I did not, because the main weapon sucks. It takes 5 shots and it just can't kill. This weapon is a terrible killing weapon unless you're able to use an Aki for its inkjet. But that has been the Splattershot Nova. I dislike this weapon very much. It needs a buff. It needs something to help change it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope that, you know, even with all the negativity about this weapon, if you're an enthusiast, if you wanted to pick up this weapon, hopefully the builds that I gave you help maybe inspire you just a little bit, and you can, you know, take what you can from it. But overall, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.